BBC Radio Newcastle.
Jessica, what are the main causes? What are the main causes of insomnia?
Insomnia can be caused by lots of different things. One of the key things, obviously, is stress. And a third of people who can't sleep say that stress is... 3/4 of the people who are stressed have trouble sleeping. And conversely, about 30% or a third of people get stressed if they can't sleep. So there's a bit of vicious cycle linked to stress and worry. They always come up very high on the list. Lots of other reasons why people can't sleep. They might be health related, to do with pain or discomfort in some way. It might be because they've got a partner who snores or who fidgets a lot in bed. That's very common. Noise outside could be an issue. There's lots of triggers that could set people off, but certainly stress and worry are very key factors.
And how do we cure insomnia, more importantly?
If only it were very easy, or if at least people understood what was going on better, and then they could take steps to improve their sleep. Because what we want to talk about is sleep quality rather than quantity. So they shouldn't worry about the number of hours sleep they get. They should look to create exactly the right circumstances to get 6 or 7 really good, deep quality hours of sleep. 3 key things, I think. One is to take time to relax and wind down before bed, get rid of the electronic gadgetry that we've all become so dependent on, banish the TV from bedrooms, have a relaxing bit of me time, make some lists so that you know what you're going to do tomorrow and you can park some of your work or family concerns down on paper and forget about them. Try and go to bed and get up at the same time every night and have a routine that triggers to your brain that it's bedtime when you're preparing for bed. And, of course, have a super-duper sleep sanctuary, perfect sleep environment, a cool, quiet, dark, uncluttered bedroom with a super comfortable bed.
Where the cat can't get in and nibble your toes.
Probably a good idea, yes.
That's exactly. But I need my mobile phone by my bed. I use it as an alarm.
Well, maybe you should think about getting yourself a good old-fashioned alarm that isn't plugged into anything.
I've got one.
We've all got so used to taking our mobile phones to bed, but there's an increasing amount of evidence to suggest that electronic gadgetry, having our phones there, are affecting the depth and quality of our sleep.
Do you know, I had bad sleep last night. Do you know why I had bad sleep last night?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Oh, listen to you, feisty sleep person. Because I had a nap yesterday afternoon, because I had a Lemsip, because I've got a cold. So when I went to bed at about 11:30, I tossed and turned, and then had to get up for a wee.
Well, yes, getting up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet is a common thing, and some people struggle to get back to sleep after they've done that.
And I had my iPad and my phone in the bedroom. And an electric DAB alarm clock.
Yeah, lots of distractions there, I'm afraid, isn't there?
No, there was no distractions. No, there were no distractions. I promise you. It was the sleep in the afternoon. But what's the most extreme case you've come across?
What, the most extreme case of insomnia?
Yeah.
Well, there are people who claim to have not slept at all in years and years and years. But actually, if you did not, the longest anyone has ever gone with not sleeping at all is somewhere around about 11 or 12 days, by which time they're practically sort of on the ceiling with hallucinations and all sorts going on. It really is a good demonstration of how important sleep is. So I suspect the people who say they don't sleep at all may be suffering from poor sleep, and there are plenty of people out there who are constantly sleepless. But there is a difference between fatigue and the fatigue a lot of people feel and sleep. People who are fatigued and tired all the time might actually be sleeping quite a lot.
What are some of the other sleep disorders?
Oh, there's numerous. I read somewhere that there's something like 80 or 90 different types of sleep disorder. But apart from insomnia, which is the most common, there are things like restless leg syndrome, there's night terrors, and nightmares. There's the issue you talked about, although it's more frequent, it's called nocturia, the frequent need to get up and go to the bathroom. Another really common one is sleep apnea, which is a symptom of which is snoring, breathing problems.
Why is the North East so bad at insomnia and sleep?
That's a very good question that we were talking about just earlier this morning, actually, about why there are these regional differences and why, for instance, as you rightly say, 83% in the northeast, and according to our latest survey, say they suffer from a sleep disorder, which is higher than the national average of 70%. I don't have an answer to that, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's fine.
It is a curiosity, but there isn't anything that obviously sort of stands out to say why that should be a problem.
If you find yourself awake in the middle of the night, do you know how to get yourself back off?
I think the best thing to do is if you don't go straight back to sleep within sort of 5 minutes or so of waking up, you might be better to get out of bed, go somewhere else. Don't go and sort of start baking cakes and practising to take part in the Great British Bake Off or make the birthday cakes for the kids or something, or do something too stimulating and active. But go and, find somewhere else to go and maybe read a book or listen to some quiet music and relax until you feel sleepy again and go back to bed. For me, if I wake up in the middle of the night, it's usually because I've got stuff on my mind. And what I find is the best thing to do is to write that down, get it out, get it on paper, and somehow that manages to release it and allows me to switch my mind off and go back to sleep.
Okay. 2 more questions, and I must get to Neil. What about the latest thing on YouTube, the sleep whisperers, where they talk in very quiet voices and say random things? It's supposed to send you to sleep. Could that really work?
Well, noise is sort of different people react to different types of noise. I haven't come across this particular one on YouTube, but again, one we were talking about quite recently is Wayne Rooney apparently finds having a vacuum cleaner on in the background helps him to sleep, something he's been conditioned to. But we asked in our latest survey what sort of sounds people did find help them put them to sleep, and much more common are things that are associated with nature, I think, bird song, the sound of waves or wind or even rainfall. And it's almost like white noise. It sort of cuts out other things going on around you and sort of helps to mask those and can help some people to do that all important switching off.
Jessica from the Sleep Council, 3 top tips for a good night's sleep.
3 top tips: relax, have a routine, create the right environment.
Right. Okay, Neil. Why do you think the Northeast is so bad at sleep or insomnia?
Interesting question. I was up in Newcastle in January this year. I arrived on a Sunday evening, got off the train at about 11 o'clock and was walking to my hotel. It was -10 outside. I had about 7 layers on, a hoodie, scarf, gloves. And I got at the station and I was fascinated by what I saw around me. That everyone, absolutely everyone that I could see around me was wearing boob tubes and very short shorts. And
welcome to the Northeast.
Absolutely. And so people don't seem to wear much in the way of clothes, even when it's ridiculously cold. Now, obviously, if your body temperature has dropped to a certain point and you are keeping yourself warm with excess consumption of alcohol. Now, what this study hasn't shown us is what parts of the UK have highest levels of alcohol consumption. Now, I'm assuming the only way you can keep yourself warm when you're not wearing any clothes is with a beer jacket. So maybe there is some kind of a link there, because it is proven that excessive alcohol consumption will diminish your ability to be able to sleep at night. So I don't know if there is a correlation there, but I'd like to see that study.
Well, we'll ask the caster Geordie Shaw. They're coming in later. Why is September such a stressful time of year?
The summer is over. Kids are back at school. We are still several months away from Christmas. The last bank holiday is behind us. The days are getting shorter, and it's that time of year when the stress really starts to hit. Also, people are starting to get busier at work. You've got the graduates that have started their graduate schemes, and there's a whole number of reasons that stress levels start to build around September. There's no coincidence that the 10th of October is World Mental Health Day, and the first Wednesday in November is National Stress Awareness Days, because that's when stress levels tend to peak. as we start getting into the run-up to Christmas. And yeah, as I said, like there are people that suffer from things like seasonal affective disorder. As the weather changes and they get less access to sunlight, that physiologically causes stress to their system.
And what's the link between stress and sleepless nights then?
Now, this is an interesting one. Stress is both a cause and a symptom. Sorry, I'll start again. Poor sleep is both a cause and a symptom of stress. If you're stressed, you're going to struggle to fall asleep at night, or you'll struggle to get a good night's sleep. But if you haven't had a good night's sleep and you wake up in the morning and you haven't slept, that's going to lead to you feeling stressed and unable to cope with the challenges that your day is going to throw at you. So, it's very, very important that we understand that a lack of sleep will get us stuck in these vicious cycles, which are very difficult to break out of if we don't take proactive action to do something about it.
So what is the solution then? Stress causes lack of sleep. Many say the best thing for stress is sleep. What's the solution?
Most people experience what I would describe as the Roadrunner effect. We run around in our lives at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And if you think of Roadrunner the cartoon, when he runs up to Wile E. Coyote's trap, he's running at full pelt. When he stops, he's running at such a breakneck speed that his feet stop, but his body's reverberating backwards and forwards at 1,000 miles an hour. Now, ultimately, what Roadrunner needs to do to avoid that experience is, rather than running up to the trap at full pelt, is when he can see the trap in the distance, take the time to slow down. In the same way, we rush through our lives from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. We're running at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And even if we're not physically rushing around, mentally, emotionally, we're having to think about all the things that are going on in life. We've got our iPhones and our gadgets and our tablets in our hands. And, our brains are having to work really hard to process all the information that we're being subjected to. So, in the same way that we would prepare a child for bed, we would have some kind of a wind-down routine to slow them down in the run-up to bed. We'd have given them a bath, a lullaby, a warm drink, a bedtime story. And we would avoid certain things that would stimulate them, like television, like playing games, like sugar, like fizzy drinks. In the same way, we need to ensure that we are taking the time to wind down and slow down before we get into bed. So when we do get into bed, our ability to get a good night's sleep is massively optimized.
So sometimes in the afternoon, I like to put my Gucci face mask on, and I do have one, and have a snooze on the sofa. Is that a good way to de-stress?
Now, there's different schools of thought on this. A short nap is actually beneficial. We're talking a power nap, 10, 15 minutes, will re-energize you and is less likely to interfere with you getting a good night's sleep in the evening. If you have an hour and a half nap, chances are that potentially will interfere with you being able to get a good night's sleep later in the evening. Something else that is probably as, if not more beneficial than having a nap is kind of a short meditation or in some way just focusing on your breath. Your subconscious mind cannot differentiate between being in a meditative state and being in sleep in terms of the benefit it will gain. So it could be just as simple as just mindfully focusing on your breath for 10 or 15 minutes will give you the same benefit as an hour's worth of sleep.
What types of methods? So, is that one method that people can use to get stress levels under control as well?
A very simple one that I teach with everyone that I possibly have the opportunity to share this with is to imagine that there's a triangle that starts at your belly button. The corners of the triangle are at your hips. And you can follow me with this right now. And inside that triangle, just visualize a ball or a balloon. Every time you take a breath in, just visualize the air going into your nostrils, down into your lungs, and filling that ball or balloon up with air. At the top of the breath, just hold for a couple of seconds. And then when you exhale, pull your navel to your spine and fully exhale. And if you just repeat that slowly, just focusing on the breath, just tuning yourself out from your physical environment for a few moments and focusing on the breath, that will help your body to physiologically relax. It will slow your heart rate. It will get more oxygen on board. And oxygen is the key resource required, not only for human survival, but for us to physiologically change our state.
And finally, where can people find out more information about the Stress Management Society?
For information about stress, please visit www.stress.org.uk. For information about sleep, visit sleepcouncil.org.uk.
Thank you both. Thank you for letting me run